Over the years, you've heard me ask wealth manager Warren Ingram the big questions. How do we invest wisely? How do we protect our family's future? All those conversations, that entire library of financial expertise is now available as a podcast. Straightforward advice to help you build your wealth on demand. Just search for Warren Ingram's Personal Finance wherever you get your podcasts.
You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
8 minutes after 9 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the Clement Manyathela Show on this Tuesday, the 22nd day of July. It's great to be in your company. Thank you for being with us here on 702. We always love being in your company, and I hope you're well this morning. Thank you. Hello. Thank you. If you're joining us on YouTube, go to the 702 YouTube page for you to watch and listen to the show at the very same time. President Cyril Ramaphosa has finally fired the Higher Education Minister, Nobuhle Nkabane. She was a disgrace, honestly. She has shown belligerent attitude towards Parliament. She has shown Parliament the middle finger. She has shown the President the middle finger and the rest of South Africa. I have never seen such political arrogance. And you know what she did yesterday? She sent out a statement thanking the President for trusting her with the responsibility to lead the higher education sector, and said it was a privilege to serve in such an important department. She did that before the President could even announce his decision. And the impression she was seemingly trying to create is that she resigned, which is not the case. She was fired. But she still disrespected the President by going ahead of him and telling South Africans that she's out before the President could do that. That's not protocol. So she seemingly rebelled even towards the end by releasing this statement before the President even makes the announcement. I mean, the level of political arrogance this woman has displayed is shocking, even to her own comrades. And yesterday I actually tweeted, well done to the DAs, Karabo Kakao, and to the EFF's Sihle Lonzi and other members of Parliament who were pushing for accountability, including the MK Party, which, by the way, was one of the first organizations to write to the chair of the committee about the leaked list of SITA board chairs. But more importantly, I think, thanks to you as South Africans for expressing your outrage. Thank you for making your voice heard, for calling in on our shows and expressing that outrage. I think that's part of the pressure that we put for the right thing to be done. So what's your reaction to this decision by the President? He was decisive this time around. I would have loved this action to be taken much earlier, but I will take this. And I'm grateful the President has listened and acted. What are your thoughts? 011-883-0702. You can send your WhatsApps on 072-702-1702. Also, how are you being affected by this FlySafair pilot strike, or FlySafair pilot strike, whichever way you pronounce it? I see that the company will be resuming talks this week with Solidarity. But this strike has disrupted dozens of flights. I mean, this is the country's largest low-cost carrier. They hold about 60% or so of market share. In fact, it's been regarded as a pillar of regional mobility and consumer affordability. So when there's a strike at FlySafair or FlySafair, trust that the impact will be felt. So how have you been impacted? Have you had to make alternative arrangements? Please give us a call or send us a WhatsApp voice note. Congratulations as well to Musimamani and Malusi Gigaba. Okay, let's do that again. To Dr. Musimamani and Dr. Malusi Gigaba. They are now PhD holders. Musimamani graduated with a PhD in public management and governance. So he's Dr. Maimani to you, my friend. Malusi Gigaba graduated with a PhD in public administration. So he's now a doctor of philosophy in public administration. It's so encouraging to see, remember how we would also get excited when Julius Malema graduates or other politicians. It's incredible. It's incredible to see them do that and advance their studies like that. So congratulations to them. Congratulations to you as well. If you have graduated or you are graduating this season, we are really, truly, truly inspired.
Clement Manyathela, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
All right, 13 minutes now after 9 o'clock. I'm going to come to your calls and your WhatsApps in a moment. I want to bring in the man we spoke to yesterday before the president decided to fire the higher education minister, Nobuhle Nkabane. We spoke to Nobuhle, who is the chair of the higher education committee. I know he stepped out of a meeting for us, so I just want to quickly bring him on to understand what's the way forward now, and then I'll come to your calls and WhatsApp. Staboho, thank you so much for quickly chatting to us. Hi.
Good morning, Clement. Thanks for having us. Good morning to your listeners.
Okay, so the president has now decided to fire this higher education minister. She was supposed to be appearing before the committee today. What happens now?
Yeah, you'll remember that she was supposed to appear with three other panelists and the director general. And the panelists were supposed to come read their letters into the records. They are all here. We're just waiting for the director general who arrived from China last night and flew in this morning. He has told me that he's just stuck in traffic. Traffic in Cape Town is a mess. So we'll start very soon. The minister, who is the former minister, is not here. No, she's no longer required to be here. So I spoke to our legal team. Our legal team informed me that because the minister is no longer the minister, we don't have to read the panelists' letters into the records, establish the facts, because then, as I said yesterday, we'll then needed to bring the minister to get her side of the story so that we deal with that legal principle called audi alteram patent that would have helped us to then conclude on whether the minister would have misled, lied or not to Parliament. But we can't get to that. So what will happen now is that we're going to thank the panelists for coming, and then we'll continue the probe with the Director General, because that is what the bone of contention would have been. Some of them, or at least the DDG, would have said the Director General had written to the staff in the department, informed them that our meeting has been cancelled when our meeting was not cancelled. So we will continue with the DG.
Okay, so the probe will continue with the DG. There's a lot of evidence that you already have in your disposal as the committee, not only from Advocate Terimutau, but from the other people, including the former minister's chief of staff, who said it's not true that we were people who advised her, who were on that independent panel. So what happens if, after your conversation with the Director General at the end of this probe, and having assessed all the evidence and information that was provided to you, you then conclude that this former minister had lied? What happens next?
So we will not be able to go that route, according to legal, will not try her in her absence. So a portfolio committee on higher education and training is only responsible to deal with or to oversight over the Ministry and the Department of Higher Education and Training. Dr. Nobuhle Nkabane is no longer the Minister of Higher Education and Training, so we will no longer be continuing. But other committees of Parliament, committees, they can continue with their probe because it's still a member of Parliament. But us, unfortunately, we can't do a probe over a former minister, Blake Nzamande, for an example, or a former minister, Dr. Nkabane. We only do oversight over those who are here. If tomorrow there's some evidence that we need from Dr. Nkabane in her capacity as the minister, we can call her to come and bring, but not to try her. Unfortunately, that's what.
Okay, but the ethics committee, ethics committee can continue with this probe about whether or not she has lied to Parliament.
Yes, the ethics committee is one within its right to continue. I think they are continuing.
All right. Nobuhle, thank you so much for speaking to us. I think that's important because resignation doesn't erase the need for investigation into potential wrongdoing, especially if there are allegations of misconduct like that or illegal activity. If this woman has lied under oath, that's perjury. And she's got to be held accountable for it. 18 minutes now after 10 o'clock. After 9.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
On 702.
Good morning, Clement and 702 listeners. My submission this morning, I'd love to congratulate Melusi Kigaba for obtaining his doctorate. I think he is an inspiration to many of us. Thank you, Mbuyiseni.
Morning, Clement Manyathela and 702 listeners. I think the decision is welcome of the Minister of Higher Education being relieved of her duties, but this is no credit to the president. He was put under tremendous pressure to take this. This should have happened like he did with that minister of the DA that went to US, deputy minister. He was quick to act on that one, but here he had to juggle around. But I think we understand now is because of the links and the deployment and the ANC, etc., etc. So there's no credit to it that must go to the president on this one. Thank you.
So Clement, taking my morning jog, I had to just pause and celebrate with my brother. I'm glad she's gone. Oh my God. I think she didn't understand that she's a public servant, Kim. She didn't understand that, you understand? But more than anything, I think flowers must go to the committee as well. DA guys, EFF guys, how and the other guy from EFF. Stellar job, guys. Awesome. I hope the tone is set for how committees ought to operate, and key takeaways be learned by the provincial structures and the municipal structures to say in committees this is how you hold people accountable. What I look forward to see, Clem, is who now hires this lady with this reputation. Shame on them now. Who hires this lady with this level of arrogance and incompetence? Cheers. Thanks, Clem.
Good morning, Clement. Good morning to fellow listeners. Clement, I don't know, man. Remember, this lady was supposed to face the portfolio committee today, with regards to her appearing before the committee 2 times now. And now yesterday, we are made to believe that she was just fired. I don't know. I'm just thinking this was just a strategy by the president trying to move her away from, facing and accounting for lying and all of those. Now it simply means, does it mean that she won't have to account now?
Look, the probe is going to continue with the ethics committee. What Letsie says, Letsie, is that they're not going to continue. They're going to continue with the probe with the DG, but the legal advice, they've received is that you can't really try the minister without her coming through to appear before the committee because she is no longer a minister. But the ethics committee will continue with that probe about whether or not she's lied to Parliament. I think there's enough evidence for that committee to make a ruling. That's very important. Just because someone leaves, resigns, or is fired doesn't mean that that's where accountability stops. So even in this case, I can't wait to hear what the ethics committee will do. And I know normally their investigations or probes take time, but I really hope that they get to a point where this woman, again, will be used as an example to these ministers who often demonstrate arrogance towards a body like Parliament that's constitutionally obligated to hold them accountable.
Great job to the President, Clement. I love it that ultimately Nkabane is gone. That woman was frustrating, I tell you. That woman was frustrating each time you watch her. It's just that now, my celebration was short-lived when I saw President bringing in another questionable character like Nobuhle. I mean, with such a questionable past and, of course, corruption that she's been involved in some municipalities in Durban, then I was like, dude, you can't send away or dismiss or fire Nkabane and bring another Nkabane in. So now that's kind of, it just deflated my spirit a little bit. But after all, well done, President, at long last.
Yeah, look, I don't know. Can you just direct me to the corruption involving Nobuhle? I don't remember reading anything to that effect when she was the premier of KwaZulu-Natal. Please direct me to that. I've not seen that. I know that she was one of the people that were appointed to the SETA boards by this minister who's now out. But I still don't understand the objection to her as the deputy minister. I don't understand why there's an objection to her based on the fact that her name was included there by the minister to be one of the SETA board chairpersons. So maybe help me understand that a little bit more. But I'd like to know also about her track record. When you say that she was involved in corruption in KZN, which corruption was that? Because I don't remember that. I've had Nobuhle on the show several times. And often when I've heard her, people who come from KZN have often praised her leadership from the time when she was premier. Maybe I've missed it. Please direct me to that part where she has a questionable past. What exactly is it that she was involved in as far as corruption is concerned? As for her name being part of the SETA board chairs, I don't understand that objection. Because the issue here has never so much been about, every single person on that list is problematic. The issue here was the list of SETA board chairs was riddled with politicians. But you need board chairpersons who are independent. That's why the concern is, how do you have Gwede Mantashe's son as a board chair? You've got Gwede Mantashe's advisor as a board chair. And then you've got all these other politicians to be board chairs of SETAs, which are supposed to be these independent institutions that are helping us with skills development, with helping with eradicating unemployment. Doesn't necessarily mean there are people that are incompetent on that list. In fact, if you look at the entire list, there are other people who were suggested to be board chairs who are very much capable of doing the job. So I really don't understand the objection to Nobuhle being appointed the deputy minister when in fact that's what the president does. Take politicians in the ANC and in the DA and in the IFP and in the UDM and all these other parties in the DNU and appoint them to cabinet or to be deputy ministers. Yeah, let me know what questionable past Nobuhle has that maybe I have missed.
Good morning, Clement. As we always say in Afrikaans, the achter ons kom ook in die kraal. Finally, the president has come into the kraal where we all wanted him, but it took so long. I'm happy that Nobuhle Nkabane is gone. He must do the same with the rest of the other crew that are in the same stable of breaking all the parliamentary ethics. Stay here. Cheers. Bye.
Hi, Clem. Tabo here in Tshwane. With regard to the firing of the Minister of Higher Education and Training, Dr. Nkabane. Okay, yeah, the president did the right thing. But I think the mere fact that she missed the meeting on Friday, I think she knew that this was going to happen. Hence, she chose those dates that she'll come to parliament and all these things. She knew that she was going to be fired, or she already got the message that she was going to be fired. And, yeah. But anyway, we welcome this development, and then hopefully higher education will be in good shape in her absence. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Look, some people are trying to suggest that this has got everything to do with what's going to happen tomorrow. Remember, there's the appropriations bill that's supposed to be passed, which is one of the two crucial parts of the budget. I mean, without the appropriations bill, then forget it. So, and the DA, remember, had taken a position of not going to be supporting certain individual budgets of ministers like Nkabane's ministry or department. So there were questions around what position the DA was going to take during the vote tomorrow for the appropriations bill. And yes, there was a suggestion that if you get BOSA and other parties that are really, there are other parties, the smaller parties that are not so much in the GNU in that sense, if you get them to support the appropriations bill, there would still be enough numbers. But you also didn't want to risk that, because if you don't pass the appropriations bill, there are really, really serious consequences. So, I mean, I saw someone suggesting this morning that, maybe the president acted because, in fact, it wasn't someone, it was what I read on News 24. They are trying to suggest that the president acted because of pressure from the Democratic Alliance. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I really don't think that's the case. I think the president is just fed up. I think he probably just wanted Parliament to deal with this first, like allow process, because he's always allowed sort of process to unfold. So he wanted maybe Parliament to investigate her and ultimately make a decision on her behavior, and then he would come and act afterwards. But she has disrespected the president so many times. I mean, the president stopped her from flying to China last week Sunday. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago on Sunday? Apparently she was already there at the airport. The president said, "You're not getting on that flight." Which is why a lot of us thought maybe she's about to be fired back then. Last week Friday, she was supposed to be in Parliament. She didn't go. She instead went to some event in the Eastern Cape, was busy planting trees, even taking videos, like belligerent attitude towards Parliament, towards the president as well, her boss. And I just think the president was fed up. How do you explain keeping a person like that who consistently just shows a middle finger, shows arrogance like that? Yeah, I will take it. As I say, I would have loved this to happen much earlier, but we're dealing with President Cyril Ramaphosa here. Earlier is something completely different to him. So I'll take this. Thank you, President, for acting and for also listening to South Africans who have said, this woman doesn't seem to be interested in representing us. It's 9:30.
Over the years, you've heard me ask Wealth Manager Warren Ingram the big questions. How do we invest wisely? How do we protect our family's future? All those conversations, that entire library of financial expertise is now available as a podcast. Straightforward advice to help you build your wealth on demand. Just search for Warren Ingram's Personal Finance wherever you get your podcasts.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
25 minutes before 10 o'clock. This is the 702 open line. We are taking your calls on 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. We've been asking you about your reaction to the decision by the president to finally fire the Higher Education Minister, Nobuhle Nkabane. I have asked you if you've been affected by this FlySafair pilot strike. I mean, there are so many flights that have been disrupted. Have you been affected? Have you had to cancel your flights? Have you received your refund? Have you had to make alternative plans? There are also Congratulations are coming through this morning for Musi Maimane and Malusi Kigaba, who are now doctors. Musi Maimane graduated yesterday with a PhD in public management and governance. Malusi Kigaba graduated with a PhD in public administration. So he's now a doctor of philosophy in public administration. So congratulations to them and to you as well. If you have graduated or you are graduating this season, we're really, really inspired. So show them some love if you want. Let's go to your WhatsApps now.
Morning, Clemmy. Yeah, I'm in Joburg. Me, I knew she was gone. By the time she was recalled from the trip to China, I knew that she was gone. So it's just that the president took long time to act. But I knew from that moment that she was gone when they recalled her from the trip to China DP. So at least now, the arrogance is gone. So, but the NC are giving us mediocre. They're giving us mediocre, man. Yeah. Anyway, great show. Have a great day.
Good morning, Clement. Good riddance to Nobuhle Nkabane. Wow, she was really distasteful. I think that we have to thank the GNU for this because the committee members did a fantastic job in pushing for accountability and that the charges laid against her, the minister, for lying to Parliament, should still be pursued. This should also encourage us as citizens that we cannot go back to a majority rule party because had it been back when the ANC was majority, I doubt the minister would have been fired. Once again, great job and thanks for the good show. Digezo in Delta Freedom Park.
Hi, Clement. Sabelo here in Midrand. It's good that the minister is gone, but it took the president too long to do so, and it shows that our president doesn't have, backbone and, they're protecting each other there. And I think the reason why he delayed, it's because, he himself, has his own skeletons. So, but kudos to the DA. I mean, they've done stellar work. Thank you. Bye.
Morning, Clement and the listeners. I think, yes, we do welcome what President Ramaphosa has done with regards to Nkabane. But I think on the issue that she was just, disrespecting the president and just being arrogant, it's because of accountability. This is what the president and his party have created, people who don't really give a damn because they know that in 3 months' time she's going to get another position somewhere else, So if the president wants respect from all these ministers, he needs to set an example. When you're out, you're out. Not, like a chessboard that you move from this square, then, 3 moves down the line, you're in another square. It's, this is why she was like that. She couldn't care less. She knows, her food is still going to be on her table. This is Nadis here. Thank you.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
20 minutes before 10 o'clock. Let's bring in Vincent Magwenya, who speaks on behalf of the president, joining us on the line. Vincent, thanks for your time. Hi.
Good morning, Clement, and good morning to your listeners.
What took the president so long?
Well, Clement, we can opine on that, but the reality is that the president always seeks to act in fairness. In this particular case, he gave Minister Nkabane the opportunity to explain herself, and one could say to even look at corrective measures. Unfortunately, that was not to be. Misleading Parliament, amongst other issues, became a grave concern for the president, and ultimately he had to exercise his prerogative and act as it did.
What was the last straw for him?
Well, the issue has been of concern for quite some time, ever since that unfortunate appearance by the former minister. And the president had been applying his mind and processing the issue. I guess the last bit, when the minister could not present herself to Parliament during a scheduled hearing, escalated matters, but it had been an issue that the president has been concerned about and was processing.
Is that why the president had stopped her from going to China? And I suppose the reason I'm asking about the timeline is when the president took that decision then 2 weeks ago, we thought, okay, he's preparing to make that decision. And then it was another 2 weeks before he could act yesterday?
Well, the matter was still being processed when the president decided to stop the former minister from going to China. I think it was appropriate of the president to do so, considering that the matter was being processed and the matter was coming to finality, so to speak.
Okay. What was she fired or did she resign? Because she released a statement before the president could release a statement announcing his decision. Can you just clarify that for us? And what does protocol actually say in a situation where the president removes you from his cabinet? Like, do you communicate before the president even communicates that decision?
Well, that was an unfortunate departure from the established protocol, Clement. The protocol is when the president makes a decision about an appointment, whether he's appointing a person or is removing a person, the onus to communicate that decision is left to the president. Up until such time the president has communicated, no one is to communicate the president's decision. And so that was unfortunate, but in essence, she was removed, or you could say she was fired, yes.
All right. Vincent Magwenya, thank you for your time. That's the spokesperson for the presidency. Just chatting to us about really what happened before this decision was ultimately made yesterday. About time.
Over the years, you've heard me ask Wealth Manager Warren Ingram the big questions. How do we invest wisely? How do we protect our family's future? All those conversations, that entire library of financial expertise is now available as a podcast. Straightforward advice to help you build your wealth on demand. Just search for Warren Ingram's Personal Finance wherever you get your podcasts.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
15 minutes before 10 o'clock, Benedict says, Clement, the former minister Nkabane messed up and she knows it. She knew that the president was going to fire her sooner or later. She didn't know how to explain her actions to the portfolio committee, and she did everything to avoid that. That's why she decided to give last week's planned portfolio committee meeting a miss. That's a message there from Benny in Mahikeng. Yeah, Benny. And I mean, imagine if she had appeared today. What is she going to say? She was probably going to dig this hole deeper for herself. She was going to lie more, probably. Because how do you avoid misleading Parliament and wanting to insist that your so-called independent panel was independent when, in fact, even your own chief of staff, if the very same people that are in your office, some of them are telling you that they're telling Parliament that, no, we were not part of this independent panel. So, minister or former minister, who advised you? Who advised you to appoint those SETA chairpersons? Who advised you to go and get Gweda's son and Gweda's advisor and all those other politicians to be chairs of SETAs? Because she had to withdraw those appointments. So who advised her? Because clearly this so-called independent panel didn't, because even the chair says, Aibo, I wasn't involved in that. She just included a random name of someone who had never sat or adjudicated on any meeting that advised the minister on these SETA board chairs.
I think let's give credit where it's due to the economic freedom fighters, especially to Honorable Sihlelozi and how they've conducted themselves in Parliament. They are the real main opposition in Parliament because we see that demonstration and we are seeing the result. It wasn't fashionable when Sihlelozi was removed from Parliament by the security structure of Parliament, and it was very, very embarrassing. But today we are celebrating and giving credit to the DA, which is also in the GNU, which is just a little bit weird for me. So congratulations to the EFF. We now see why you are the main opposition in Parliament, and keep it up. We are watching this as South Africans, and we really, really appreciate your presence in Parliament. Keep on doing the great work. Swiss and Richards Bay.
Hi, Clement. Clement, my input is that we must be very careful of thanking the president for anything or giving credit to the president for anything. Because with the politics of the ANC, you'll be surprised as that they didn't want to let her go. But politics. So the president didn't want to let her go. But politics. He was forced to. Thank you. Bye.
Hi, Clement. This is Jay from Sanson. Clement, I totally disagree with you. If you talk of process, then why wasn't the process taken into consideration when the DA guy was dismissed? The thing with Cyril and the ANC is just about moving parts and protecting each other. He has no interest of the citizens of this country. It's about the ANC and the people within the ANC. So this is just one of those things that it's terrible that we have a president that doesn't consider the citizens and thinks about his pockets and his cronies within the ANC. Thanks.
Clement, good morning. I trust you well. You know, the president has set a precedent by not firing the minister from the beginning. Other ministers would want to be given a chance for their waywardness. The president has shot himself in the foot, unfortunately. Anonymous.
Morning, Clement. Morning to the 702 listeners. Clement, again, we are shown by our president that we actually are leaderless. The bravado in the minister just trampling all over his toes just shows that this man is not respected even within his own cabinet. This is actually sad more than anything. I mean, it took so many parliamentarians crying out for the president to act, and even when he did act, he acted so softly. And thanks, Clement. Max from the West.
Good day, Clement and your listeners. I am delighted that the minister is gone. Also, I hope that this action will then be transposed to other ministers who are also been implicated, that the president takes action on those as well, i.e. Minister Simelani, Minister Mthulu, Minister Mantashe, and all of them. But I know I'm just wishful thinking on my part. But I am frustrated with the president. The president takes forever to deal with issues. I think the kind of crisis, the times that we find ourselves in, the crisis that we find ourselves in as a country, it requires someone that's a lot more decisive, and the president simply isn't. We are constantly told that he's applying his mind. I mean, the guy has to be the slowest thinker ever.
Yeah, and it gets frustrating many times. I actually said, was it last week when I said, the president will eventually act against her. He's just waiting for more and more pressure, which is so disappointing that you're going to act when South Africans are screaming at the top of their lungs and politicians and are coming out, releasing statements, and criminal charges are being laid. It's always like that. And I've said the same even with Zweli Mkhize. When Zweli Mkhize was the Minister of Health and the Digital Vibes expose happened, and we were consistently talking about what is the president going to do? Why is he still waiting and not doing anything? When evidence is so overwhelming about how close the minister is to this woman who has seemingly become at the center of the Digital Vibes scandal. And then what happened? The president then says the minister has decided to resign. Even when you could tell this thing was being managed politically at the time. You needed to portray it like that as opposed to take action, because there was going to be a political consequence, especially if you look at the dynamics in the ANC and Zweli Mkhize as one of the leaders coming from KwaZulu-Natal and the conferences that were ahead, etc., etc. So my experience of this president is that often he waits. And I know on his side, his people will say, no, but he's consulting. He's not just sitting. But it appears like he waits until there's so much pressure that he can't just simply avoid it. Like there has to be so much. Remember when children were dying in townships after eating food that's potentially poisoned. How many times did we talk about it on air? Where is the president? Why hasn't he? I mean, how many kids died? Over 40 or so? There's so many children who died. In any other country, that becomes a health emergency. And when there was more and more pressure, then he acts. And sometimes you wonder, what were you waiting for? What took you so long? What's changed? Ooh, it really gets frustrating sometimes. But as I said, I'll take it. Better late than never, don't they say?
Hi, Clement, the team. Firstly, I would like to congratulate Mmusi Maimane and Malusi Gigaba for their PhDs. The question remains, will they remain in politics or will they be in academia? Because as a research-based qualification, I think their contributions will be needed in academia than in politics. Thanks, David.
Yeah, I wonder. Malusi Gigaba is still working for Lutuli House, the ANC. Mmusi Maimane still leads BOSA, is a member of parliament. I don't see them quitting their political careers, especially because they're still so young. Like Mmusi Maimane still has ambitions. I think at some point, we may see him minister, especially if we're going to go on this trajectory where we don't have a one dominating party. If we are going to have this sort of setup of a government where there's a coalition of sorts, even at national government, I really do see Mmusi at some point being one of the ministers, I think. And as far as Malusi Gigaba is concerned, and this was someone that was seen as the future president of the ANC until, of course, the Guptas happened and the videos and and all the drama that unfolded. But there are, in fact, Julius Malema tweeted something. I think he tweeted a picture of Malusi Gigaba and says, "Congratulations, President," or something. I'll try find that for you. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is there are some people who still see him as a possible future leader of the African National Congress. Because he's a smart politician and he's a clever man. Ooh, he was just entangled in so much drama and controversy and was involved in some weird stuff. But this is also South Africa, but this is more the ANC. There are many people who have been involved in nasty things that somehow managed to reinvent themselves. And whether Malusi Gigaba is going to be able to do that is really a question at the top of my mind. Let's wait and see. It's 5 minutes before 10.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
3 minutes before 10 o'clock.
Clement Manyathela morning. Cyril runs his business in a very snail pace. And he's in charge of an entire country. But when he runs his business, he runs it in a very snail pace. We don't need such an individual. South Africa is a fast moving country. We don't need someone who will drag his feet before making serious decisions about the country. I'm still boggled about these people who still vote ANC. It really boggles my mind. I'd like to remain anonymous. Thanks.
Yeah, Jerome says, Clement, the way you chuckle after saying Gigaba's videos, we see, yeah, but Jerome, you know what happened there. Oh, another one is asking on the WhatsApp line, Clement, did Jacob Zuma ever fire a minister for wrongdoing? I don't remember. Does anybody remember that? A case where the former president Jacob Zuma fired. I know he's reprimanded someone. I think there are cases where some minister was found to be in the wrong and the recommendation was that that minister has to be reprimanded. And the president said, good morning or good evening, and I'm paraphrasing here, when a minister mang, consider yourself reprimanded. Oh, you are duly reprimanded. It was just like that. And then the country moved on. So I don't have a specific case that comes to the top of my mind. But also, you know, politicians protect each other. Remember when Mosiviwe Mapisa Nkula took a whole government jet and put her comrades on it to go to a meeting in Zimbabwe. Took Bo Ace Magashule, Bo Lindiwe, was it Lindiwe Zulu at the time? I think she was the head of the subcommittee on international relations. And they went all the way to Zimbabwe. And when it was found that the minister did wrong, what happened? She was reprimanded, and I think her salary was docked for a month or a couple of months. So, yeah, politicians always protect each other. They always always talk about political expediency. They want us to believe that they exist because they want to solve our problems. They exist because they care about our well-being, and they want to push for what's best for us. But believe that at your own peril. Politicians exist because they're after power. That's what I've come to learn after so many years of speaking to a lot of them and reading about a lot of them and engaging with a lot of them. But hey, if you have found a politician you trust, good luck. It's 10 o'clock.